I was standing at the site of the Battle of Hastings, which took place in 1066. It was a crisp October morning, and on top of this hill you had Harold Godwinson's men. He was the Earl of Wessex, who had anointed himself the King of England, despite an oath being made to William the Conqueror. At the bottom of this hill, you had William the Conqueror's men, and at the start of the battle, both sides picked a champion who would go into the middle of the battlefield and have a fight. William the Conqueror's man won that fight. He then single-handedly charged up the battlefield into the awaiting English shield wall and was cut down quite quickly. This prompted a hail of arrows from the Norman side, and the battle commenced. Though it's quite hard to make out in video, it's actually quite a steep hill, so the Norman forces would have had to run up this hill with their full plate armour, shields, swords, dodging projectiles like arrows and spears. And by the time they got to the top of this hill, they would then have to face an English shield wall, and also the elite force of English huscarls who would be holding the position. When the Normans reached the top of the hill, they would then have to face the English shield wall. So what the English would do is they were in a tight structure, so they would have men at the front with shields who would be slashing at anyone who came near. And what they would do is, every now and again, they would open up the shield wall, and then a man called a huscarl with an axe would lunge forward and strike anyone in that gap. At one point in the battle, a rumour went round that the Duke of Normandy, William the Conqueror, had been slayed. This meant that many of his men started to retreat down the hill. So William the Conqueror charged forward on his horse, lifted it off his helmet to show everyone his face and that he was still alive. The battle went on for many hours, and it was starting to look like a bit of a stalemate. So William the Conqueror had to change things, and he had a little bit of a trick up his sleeve. The English defence proved to be quite stubborn, so the Normans employed an old trick called a false retreat, where they essentially would pretend to run away, and this would lure out the English defenders from the safety of their shield wall position, and they would chase after the Normans, only to find themselves in the middle of the battlefield, where they were savagely cut down by the Norman cavalry. By the late afternoon, the English position had weakened, so William the Conqueror sent forward his bowmen to unleash a volley of arrows onto the English position, and it is believed that one of these arrows struck Harold Godwinson, and then William the Conqueror began his last fierce assault and won the day.